Yin lay back on her bed, gazing up at the ceiling of her bedroom. Her eyes started to feel warm, and as she blinked, tears began to well up, unable to be contained. With her eyes now closed, once again, she found herself reliving that incident. I like you, sir. No, I love you. Okay, and? I want you to be my boyfriend, sir. Yin, you know you're my student and I'm your professor, right? I can't possibly date my own student. It could tarnish my reputation as a professor. People could speculate about us having a scandal. I also don't want to get fired. Besides, I only see you as my student. I really don't have any feelings for you. We can date secretly, sir. I'm willing to have a discreet relationship if that's what you want. I truly love you, sir. No, Yin. That would only cause new problems later on. Let's forget about your invitation to date. I appreciate your feelings, but I don't want to be your boyfriend. Yin sighed softly, then wiped away her tears with her hand. This would be the last time she cried over her beloved professor. After this, she would rebuild her heart. The research project for her final assignment was finally completed. Yin deserved to commend herself for enduring as Jungkook's mentee, even after going through the rejection incident. She had tried her best to suppress her ego to successfully complete this project. She had also resolved to move on from him. Yin had given up. Perhaps it was time for her to open her heart to another man. On the other hand, Jungkook found Yin's change in attitude peculiar. Usually, she would smile sweetly and be shy around him, but now she only showed a flat expression and seemed to avoid him. Jungkook was disturbed by Yin's changed behavior. Why couldn't he see Yin ignoring him? He found himself thinking about her more often. Was he facing karma for rejecting her back then? Was he starting to become interested in her? Yin sat on her apartment balcony, enjoying a hot chocolate while occasionally exchanging messages with Mina. She heard a commotion from the neighboring apartment unit. Previously, the unit next door was empty. As far as Yin knew, a new resident was moving in today, according to the apartment management, but Yin was not too concerned. As long as the new resident was respectful and didn't bother her, Yin would be friendly. The balcony door of the neighboring unit opened and out stepped a man who made Yin's eyes widen in surprise. Professor Jungkook. Jungkook was equally surprised. He didn't expect to meet Yin here. Why are you here, sir? I'm a new resident in this apartment. So, you're my neighbor? Jungkook chuckled, not expecting the girl who had been on his mind lately to be his new neighbor. Jungkook glanced at her, who was wearing a tank top and shorts, then quickly averted his gaze. Yin realized where his gaze was directed, and she quickly went inside with a flushed face. She felt embarrassed and nervous. How could she wear such clothes in front of Jungkook? Meanwhile, Jungkook just smiled. There was a sense of joy in his heart knowing that Yin also lived here. It seemed like fate. Jungkook couldn't deny his feelings anymore. He admitted that he was interested in Yin, maybe even more than that. He would try to make her notice him again. He wanted Yin to be his girlfriend. He didn't care about their status. After all, wasn't Yin willing to keep their relationship a secret? If there were any problems later on, he was ready to face them. The most important thing now was how to make Yin melt again. After all, Yin would be graduating soon. It's unusual for Yin's apartment bell to ring on a Sunday morning like this. She hurriedly checks the intercom to see that Jungkook is already standing at the door. Yin opens it, curious about why Jungkook is visiting her. As the door opens, Yin finds Jungkook with his sweet smile, which makes her heart flutter. No, Yin, you have to move on. What's up? I haven't had a chance to go grocery shopping yet, but I still have some frozen chicken in the fridge that I haven't used up. The problem is, I'm out of oil. So can I fry this in your kitchen? My air fryer is also broken. Yin is surprised. Her gaze immediately goes to his hand holding the frozen chicken. She raises her eyebrows in confusion at his professor-like excuse, but not wanting to be impolite, Yin nods and invites him in. Jungkook fries calmly, while Yin nervously accompanies him at the pantry table. Why did her professor suddenly change like this? Strange. The chicken is cooked. Let's eat together. Yin simply nods, and Jungkook eventually serves the fried chicken he cooked. They enjoy the fried chicken together at the dining table. Jungkook tries to lighten the mood between them by engaging Yin in conversation. How long have you been living here? For a while, sir. Since I started college. Don't call me that. We're not in a campus environment. Just call me by my name. But I'm not used to calling you like that. Then you should get used to it now. Alright then, sir. No, I mean Jungkook. Jungkook, hearing that, chuckles softly and reflexively reaches out to gently pat her head. Their eyes meet before Jungkook pulls his hand back. Yin, her face is beet red. She's embarrassed, yet mesmerized. No, she has to move on. But if Jungkook treats her this gently, how can she move on? Of course, she still has to move on. Meanwhile, Jungkook can't hide his faint smile. He's on a mission to make Yin fall in love with him again. Yin stands there, heart pounding, as she exhales softly. Well, thank you for letting me in. I'll go now. Yin nods, then immediately stands up to follow him, who is already walking towards the door to leave. After Jungkook leaves, she closes the door and leans against it, her hand on her chest, finally running her hands through her hair in frustration. You have to be strong, Yin. The next day, Yin finds Jungkook at her apartment door again. Jungkook invites her to go grocery shopping. I'm going to buy kitchen and household supplies. Do you want to come along? We can shop together. Sorry, Jungkook. All the groceries and household items are still available. Then could you accompany me? I'm sorry, I'm busy. There's a lot of work I need to do. Alright, I understand. But is there anything you want me to buy for you? I can get it along the way. Thank you, but there's nothing I need to buy. Everything is still available. Okay then. Jungkook immediately turns around and heads towards the elevator, feeling a pang in his heart. Yin really rejected him. Is this how it feels to be rejected by someone you love? Jungkook increasingly understands how Yin felt back then. Yin closes the door and leans against it. Of course, she rejected him. She has to protect her heart from melting. She doesn't want to get hurt for the second time. She's afraid that Jungkook's change in attitude is only because he feels guilty for rejecting Yin back then. Although Yin often rejects him multiple times when he tries to invite her out, Jungkook still tries to offer to go shopping together, go for walks, or just have meals and snacks together, all of which end up being in vain. Yin still frequently declines his invitations. Jungkook also often calls Yin with vague conversations, or sometimes he intentionally plays the guitar and sings on the balcony when he knows Yin is also on the balcony. Yin realizes that Jungkook has a very beautiful voice. Eventually, she unintentionally spends more time on the balcony to hear Jungkook's singing voice for a longer time. However, for some reason, sometimes the songs chosen by him tell the same love story as theirs. Sometimes she feels uncomfortable hearing them. Is Jungkook deliberately choosing such songs to pour out his heart? Yes, since Jungkook moved in as her neighbor, Yin also realizes that Jungkook is desperately trying to win her heart back. She is also aware that he is now trying to approach her, but her heart is still doubtful. She doesn't want what Jungkook feels to be just guilt rather than genuine love. Until one day, Yin's mother was visiting her apartment, curious about her daughter's well-being. As they were sitting together, enjoying snacks and chatting, once again, the doorbell rang. Yin immediately got up and checked the intercom to see Jungkook standing at the door. When Yin opened the door, she saw her mother following along, curious to see who the visitor was. Upon seeing Jungkook standing at the door, her mother's eyes widened and she smiled, not expecting her daughter to have such a handsome acquaintance. Wow, do we have a visitor? Jungkook, upon hearing another voice, was curious to see who it was. His lips curled into a smile as he guessed that the middle-aged woman standing behind Yin must be her mother. Oh, I'm Yin's neighbor, and also her professor at the university. Oh, I see. What can I do for you? I just got back from buying porridge downstairs, and I thought of Yin, so I bought some for her too. I'd like to give it to her. Yin's mother simply smiled widely, seeming to grasp the situation. This young man in front of her was getting closer to her daughter, and she could see Jungkook's gestures clearly showing his interest in her daughter. Oh, thank you for that. I just arrived to visit my daughter and there are plenty of snacks inside. Please come in. We can chat together. Jungkook happily accepted Yin's mother's invitation, considering it as an initial step in getting closer to her parents. Who knows, maybe her mother would even support their relationship. For about an hour, Jungkook, Yin's mother, and Yin gathered together, chatting lightly and enjoying the snacks provided. Her mother even asked Yin to serve tea for them to enjoy together. Well then, I should take my leave now, Andy. I've been here for quite a while. Thank you for the snacks and tea. Oh, don't be shy. I'm very pleased that my daughter has a neighbor like you who seems to care so much about her. Hearing praise from Yin's mother certainly made Jungkook feel a bit embarrassed and awkward. Yin, seeing another side of him, just smiled fondly, a smile already forming on her lips without her realizing it. And a few moments after Jungkook had left her apartment. That young man, he must like you, right? How do you know, Mom? Of course I can tell. Have you forgotten that I'm more experienced than you? Actually, our story isn't as simple as you think, Mom. It's quite complicated. What exactly has happened between the two of you? Tell me, I want to hear it from you. Finally, Yin recounted at length and in detail what had happened between them, starting from Jungkook helping her on the first day of freshman orientation, to Yin falling in love since then and trying to approach him. Then Jungkook reluctantly rejects her confession. Then Jungkook becomes her new neighbor and starts to get closer to her. Yin truly told her mother everything in detail. So, what do you think? Do you not want to give him a chance? Or do you still have feelings for him? I'm afraid he doesn't genuinely love me, but just feels guilty. What do you think, Mom? Turns out, you're quite naive, sweetheart. Do you know that people fall in love in different ways? You can't assume that everyone must fall in love the same way you think. What do you mean, Mom? Even if his feelings for you started because he felt guilty and then grew into love, what's wrong with that? Why not? The fact is, he can't ignore you. Like you, who could fall in love with him at first sight. Do you think everyone can be like that? Of course not. Even some people feel silly if they can fall in love just at first sight. Your father and I, we've been friends since childhood. Maybe we've actually loved each other, but we never realized it. In the end, when we each had our own partners, we started to feel lost and jealousy crept in. Although we've been together for years, we never realized our feelings during that time, which means love grows because of companionship and comfort between us. But do you think everyone who's friends can be like us? Not necessarily. There are people who have been friends since childhood but still can't love each other. Your aunt and uncle were arranged to be married. At first, they didn't love each other at all, but after they had been intimate several times, they ended up falling in love with each other. Do you think it's just based on desire? Of course, maybe initially it was, but in the end, love grew between them. I also have a close friend. You must know my friend whom you call Aniona, right? Yes, I still remember that friend of yours. What about her, Mom? She and her husband were our classmates. All of our classmates knew about the hostility between them. But in the end, who would have thought they would get married and fall in love, even though they were initially hostile towards each other? So, sweetheart, what I want to tell you is that the way someone falls in love cannot be generalized. Some people fall in love at first sight, and some people fall in love out of habit. Some people fall in love starting from jealousy, and some people fall in love starting from animosity. Maybe Jungkook fell in love starting from a sense of guilt, then his feelings developed into love. But still, you cannot say that he is not sincere. That's just how he fell in love with you. Whether it's because he feels guilty or not, the fact is he can't ignore you and he's trying to win your heart back. But if I accept him, doesn't it mean I have no self-respect, Mom? Yin's mother burst out laughing hearing what was said. Then she affectionately stroked her head. Oh my dear, you're still young. You even still have a high ego. As women, we should indeed have self-respect. But look at the situation. Don't prioritize self-respect in the wrong situation, making you seem arrogant and conceited, or sometimes many women become unaware of themselves. If that's the case, then you'll be single for life. Do you want that? If you do, then go ahead. But I don't want my daughter to be like that. I see my friends who consider their self-respect very high to high. In my opinion, it's not about self-respect, but about arrogance and conceit. Are they happy? What happened between them are two things. First, they could remain single for a lifetime, even when their friends already have 2 or 3 children, or even before they get married. And are they happy? Their confession, yes, they are happy. But I'm sure deep down they also have the desire to have a family of their own. Why do I say that? Because of their gaze, they long for the harmony they see in a married couple. As for the second thing, what happens? If they already have a spouse, due to their high self-respect, they always feel the need to win and never want to compromise, even though a husband and wife complement each other. Sometimes the husband compromises, sometimes the wife compromises. But what happens is they always feel they are right, and they always sulk, wanting to be pampered regardless of the situation. Are their marriages happy? Most of the time, they argue more often. However, men sometimes want to be understood too. They are also human, and there are times when women have to understand them. So complement each other, don't elevate each other's ego. One of them still has to give in. Thank you, Mom. Now I know what I have to do. Yin's mother looked at her daughter's face gently, then she caressed her daughter's head affectionately before deciding to go home. Later that night, Jungkook came to visit Yin again. Can I come in? I want to talk about something important with you. Without answering, Yin nodded, allowing Jungkook to enter. They sat facing each other on the couch. After a few minutes of silence, Jungkook spoke up. Yin, do you still love me? Yin, who initially looked down, suddenly looked up, meeting his gaze. Yin could see a hint of concern in his eyes. Why are you asking that? Jungkook leaned in, now sitting next to her. He tightly held her hand, sending a tingling sensation in her stomach. Jungkook locked her gaze, not allowing her to look elsewhere. His gaze softened. I love you, Yin. I don't know when this feeling started, but I always want to be near you. Since your attitude changed, I've been frustrated. I've been trying to make you see me again. Truly, I love you. Yin remained still. Honestly, there was still doubt within her. The Jungkook who once rejected her, now turned around, declaring his love to her. However, Yin remembered her mother's advice earlier in the day. Jungkook gently stroked her cheek with his thumb, making her heart beat rapidly. Her blood rushed just from his touch on her cheek. Are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. I want you to be my girlfriend. What about your reputation as a lecturer? The scandal and the fear of being fired. I don't mind being in a discreet relationship with you, but it could still be found out, right? I don't care. If there's a problem later on, I'll face it. Besides, you'll be graduating soon too. Yin smiled, nodding. She couldn't deny that she still loved him. No matter how hard she tried to move on yesterday, it didn't work when this man was in front of her. Jungkook smiled broadly, happy that Yin accepted him. They hugged tightly. Jungkook released their hug, gently kissing her forehead. I love you, Yin. I love you too. Her cheeks blushed, making him unable to resist kissing her rosy cheeks. Then he leaned in again and softly kissed her thin lips. It tasted sweet. Jungkook found a new addiction. Jungkook leaned in closer, closing the distance between them. He kissed her lips again, this time with gentle nibbles. Yin enjoyed it. Her hands were already on his head, squeezing his hair. Jungkook tilted his head, deepening their kiss. He lifted her body to sit on his lap. One hand pushed her nape, and the other held her waist tightly. They got lost in this passionate kiss. Before going further, Jungkook reluctantly broke their kiss. He gently wiped her wet lower lip. Due to his actions, her face blushed with embarrassment, and Jungkook just chuckled fondly before kissing her lips again and pulling her into his embrace. Sorry, if this continues, I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself. Hearing what Jungkook said, Yin just lowered her blushing face.